We used to have kayfabe out of respect for the business, and because that's what kayfabe was, and it was respect for the fans. And here's why.
My name's Ed Piscor.
I'm Jim Rugg.
And I'm Tom Scholey.
He came out of the studio, man. Tom, congratulations, finishing Fantastic Four Grand Design.
Thanks, yeah.
So we did that shoot interview with you to announce that this book was even happening. In that shoot interview, one of the questions I asked you, Tom, when is this thing coming out? And you were like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Marvel told you that stuff is coming out like in a month.
It was coming out quick. Yeah, and you guys were asking me like, so what's the deadline on it? I'm like, I don't know what the deadline is. And then like almost immediately after that, they're like, oh yeah, we need it by such and such a date. And then I'm like counting on my calendar, and I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, I'm gonna need 2 more weeks. Oh, we can't give you 2 more. And then I got 2 more weeks. So it took me 2 more weeks than the deadline to finish it. But yeah, it's all done. Great feeling. It was a great feeling working on it. It was a great feeling finishing it. Even the revision process was fun. Sometimes my favorite panel comes out of a revision where they say like, oh, can't do this panel, can you change it to something? And then I come up with something where it's like, oh, that's my favorite panel in the whole series. And that happened on this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I always think like if you went through when you get done with your comic and just go back and find the thing you're least happy with and replace it, like turn that into one of the best panels, one of your favorites. Imagine how much that would elevate your work if you remove the weakest and replace it with the best.
Sometimes that's all it takes,
Yeah.
In our very first Kayfabe channel interview with you, we were talking about the Green Arrow penis in the Super Friends thing. So like what was taken out of here, man? Anything you can talk about?
I don't know.
Does the thing have an orange rocky member?
It was along those lines. It was in the same family as that. But then the thing I replaced it with was like real classy. It's kind of like in the Steranko Nick Fury thing where like there's a scene of Nick Fury and Valeria in an embrace, and they said, that's too hot. We got to get that out of here. And then he replaced, and then they like I think in house they replaced it with like a gun in a holster, which was like way worse. This isn't quite, but it's kind of like where like what I replaced it with is like very charged and very like kind of classy and interesting and it just like it's just really good, and it just is one of those things where sometimes you don't get it on the first go, and then the second pass it's like, oh, this is it was the last thing I drew in the whole series was popping in this one panel, and I love it. Like it's a t-shirt, this panel.
That's awesome. That's a great way to wrap a big project up.
You were doing sometimes a freaking page a day, writing,
yes,
penciling, coloring.
Towards the end, it got to a page a day, and it's just like, you're heating up your engines and stuff, and it's just like with this like jet taking off, and I was just getting it where it was natural, like making because before it was 2 days for a page, but it just made, I was kind of like a perfect machine at that point, like a Fantastic Four machine. I always think of it as like an
athlete getting into shape.
Yeah.
Like you're fight ready at that at some point, and then it is just like laying down track.
Yeah.
You said you were writing and drawing like a page a day. You work Marvel method with this? Like you had given them an outline, a plot?
Yeah, I mean, I gave them an outline, a plot, but then I treated it like a newspaper comic where it's like, what's today's story, and just, take it a page at a time. Like, so having an idea of this like larger story, but just kind of like letting it go, that's something you can do when you got a lot of years under your belt, a lot of experience.
And whenever you're handling everything yourself,
yes,
it gives you a tremendous amount of freedom. As the artist, you can make an adjustment, and the writer yourself can respond.
Yeah, because out of courtesy, you wouldn't want to put like an inker or a colorist or somebody in a position where they'd have to redo something purely because you made a little change, But when it's you doing it, it's like I'll do whatever it takes.
When's this comic going to start coming out?
It's coming out. First issue is coming out the day before Halloween, so trick or treat. This is, this will get you going.
Is that the same day?
Yeah,
Mystery
same
Angel's
day.
Coming out?
Scoop them both up.
It's a kayfabe week, man.
Yeah.
It is a kayfabe week.
The kayfabe twofer.
Yes.
One of the things that is not going to come out that week, which was kind of supposed to, is this baby right here, Ben. The Ed Piskor Studio Edition. We just got the proofs for that. There will be a show and tell that we put up earlier in this week, showing off sort of the process, or showing off what we call the wet proofs. And when we went to SPX, talked with the people at Fantagraphics, made a little bit of a deal. And if you pre-order the book and grab it off of the Fantagraphics website, put in the promo code STUDIOED, one word, all caps, you get 20% off the big book, man. That's like $30 off. And you get 10% off if you go for the more bougie version with the tipped in signed plates. So that's going to be available early next year, because it takes a long time to get these books to come to America on that slow boat from China. We needed to get all of our ducks in a row. We needed to get the production levels up and make sure everything looked the way we exactly intend it to. It does. It'll be here. We have the proof, and I'm stoked that you guys are going to be able to get it soon. But Kayfabe month, October, man.
Ed, I wonder, are you the youngest cartoonist to get this kind of treatment?
I do think so, in terms of like the age I am when the book comes out. Because Frank Miller might have been 23 or something when those level things.
But it's kind of like this format, whatever they call this format, different companies each have their own version, but it's all the same thing. It's usually legends. It's like,
what are you saying?
Not legends to be, or legends in the making. It's Miller, Kirby, John Buscema, Joe Kubert. So it's like those guys are what, 3 generations removed from it. So I mean, it's a big deal.
I like to think of us in the artist edition space as like the 1992 Olympic Dream Team basketball team. You know what I'm
Does
saying?
that make you Christian Leitner?
That was going to be my joke. And I was actually going to say, I didn't make the team, I'm Shaq. You know what I mean? It was between Shaq or Leitner. He stole my pop. So when we first teased the Fantastic Four Grand Design when you were here, and you couldn't mention it, you couldn't say what it was, we did mention that there were actually 2 projects that you were sitting on, had under your hat, that you couldn't talk about at that time. So now we know Fantastic Four Grand Design is one of them. Can you talk about the other one yet?
No. But it was really like, because while I was working on Fantastic Four, I was also doing like a little bit of work on this other one too. And now this other one, like with Fantastic Four done, it's purely this, and I'm going to be doing this one for a while. And it's so much like it feels so luxurious to only have to work on one super demanding, project.
We have you here in front of the hot lights, in front of our audience. Can we make another agreement that when this next project gets announced, we get you in front of the hot lights and talk about that one specifically?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to shake on it again, man. But my focus now goes over to you, Jim, because I've been doing some live streaming, man. And actually, I'm going to call out the super chatters who invested in the channel whenever I was doing these live streams. On Saturday, I did a freaking 7-hour session, 2 3.5-hour sessions, hanging out with the Kayfabers while I was inking a page of my new comic. Didn't put the title out yet. I said that I was going to put up videos where I do like a reading and stitch together a video, which I fully intend to do, but I decided I don't want to put one of those out before I come back from Japan, because I don't want it to like languish. Like I would like to put them up fairly routinely, and I'm going to be a month away from the drawing board, so I'm not going to do that. But on the screen right now are the names of the super chatters who pledged loot and sent money our way, man. Filled up our tip jar. But you haven't really been pulling your weight on the live streams, man. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I was gonna bust Tom's balls about not being a very good improver with his no killing the conversation. I can't talk about what I'm working on either, Ed. As the Kayfabers know, I had a running comic that I invested a lot of time in. That was what I was working on. That's what I was live streaming. You know how it works. As Tom said, you have multiple projects kind of in the pipeline. Something else went, as they say. So I can't talk about it yet, but I am still making comics. I'm just working on some that I'm not able to show at the moment.
Kayfabers, 2020 is going to be a motherfucker. 2020 is going to be a motherfucker. You guys see what I'm working on, man, and it's cool and it's raw and it's dope. But I get to see what these guys are working on, and I'm telling you, we're taking over comics 2020, the year of Kayfabe.
I will not disagree with that.
Can we get you in front of the hotline whenever you have any
I think
formal
that can be
announcements?
arranged.
You know, do I have to talk to your agent? Do I have to talk to your publishers for that?
Get our people together. They can do lunch. We'll work it out.
So, guys, we are, to break kayfabe, we are shooting this on a Tuesday, even though it's live on a Thursday, because on Monday, I'm going on a manga hunt. I'm going to Japan, going to hang out in Tokyo mostly, and it's going to be a comic book expedition.
I'm so excited,
Yeah.
Ed. I'm so excited for this. It's almost like reliving it. I can't wait to see what you're sharing, what you're seeing there, what you pick up.
You spent 10 days there.
Yes.
Just extemporaneously, give me some advice, man. Tell me some things to check out. What was your favorite food? What do I have to keep my eyes peeled for? Because I'm going to solicit the kayfabers to drop comments to do the same. I want to hit the ground running.
Everything I ate was fantastic. And it went from like fairly nice restaurants to like some corner place where I was ordering ramen out of like a machine.
Like a
with
vending
coupon.
machine.
Yeah. It was all fantastic. So I don't have any specific recommendations except eat everything. Anything that looks good or crosses your path or someone recommends, I would say yes, give it a shot.
Let me ask you this, because I've been researching food a lot, and there's some delicacies that we would never be privy to, man. So we might get some thumbs downs on this one. But one of the delicacies that they have out there, horsemeat sushi. Would you eat it, yes or no?
Yes.
I would too.
I did not eat it though, as far as I know. But yes, I would definitely give that a shot.
That's one of the things on my list. I'm like, if I see it someplace, I'm going to eat a fucking horse. Hit your thumb down now.
The comics part is the thing. So
Yes.
like when I was there, I bought comics out of like the business, like the new, what would be the equivalent of a newsstand,
Yes.
like right by the subway station. There was one near where I was staying, so when we would get on the train, I would walk by it every day, several times, and it was like very well lit and white and just bright space, and it was just manga everywhere, in the big, what you think of as like the phone books.
Right.
And stacked with businessmen just buying stuff. So I bought stuff from that shop. All the bookstores had lots of manga, including like used manga, and it would be like $2 to $5. I don't know if I spent more than $5 on any book that I bought there. It's shockingly cheap. So like the used bookstores would have like a floor or 2 floors of manga anywhere I went. I bought stuff on the sidewalk, like a vendor that just had like the blanket. It'd be like a New York bookseller or something on the sidewalk. There were manga shops that would be like 8 stories high.
Yeah.
And each floor would be like some different thing. Like one floor would be maybe a gallery with some kind of art show going on. One would be like a fan artist. You go in and tell them the character and they'd be drawing. And I don't know how that works, if the store is like
That's a whole
paying
culture.
them or how that works is really cool. There would be local stuff, the equivalent of like mini comics and self-published stuff would be kind of in one section. Obviously adult stuff, like the genres are so broad, like you would get floors that would just cater to whatever you're looking for. So that's what I would do like every night, like it never ended. We've talked about Nakano Broadway Mall. That was it. That was like the mecca for me. I had a few books that I was looking for. 80s wrestling manga was some of it. Garro's, there was some old back issues of Garro I wanted to pick up. I found all that stuff at Nakano Broadway.
Good to know.
And they even had like the different stores, because it's basically like, think of like a 3 or 4 story mall that's just loaded with stores, and it's all anime manga figures. So it's like my wildest dream come true.
I'll be hanging
and
out there
different
a lot.
stores would specialize. Like one was like art comics. I found Hip Hop Family Tree Japanese edition there. So and picture books, picture box books. So like it was alt comics, but in this one place. There were vendors who would have like on their name tag that they speak English. To basically help you navigate, because like I wouldn't have found any of the specific stuff I was looking for on my own. So that's I could have just done manga shopping the entire time. I ended up buying more than I could bring home with one complete full-size suitcase packed to the limit.
I made a bougie
You
deal.
may look into shipping. That might be something somebody could give some advice, because
That's next level stuff.
I made a bougie
you're
deal.
there for a month.
I drew a DVD cover for a Japanese rapper. Not going to mention names, even though most people aren't going to know any, but he's like, just keep it under your hat for a minute. In exchange for business class ticket, 2 weeks in a hotel, and a bunch of walk around money. And with the bougie business class ticket, get to check 2 bags, dude, for and not pay any money, man. So I'm bringing 2 empty ass bags, 2 empty big pieces of luggage that I can get up to 75 pounds a piece. Now, just getting to Narita Airport, that's going to be the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you may need to hire somebody to give you a hand hauling that around.
Yeah.
Your trunk of manga.
That's going to be the motherfucker, man.
One thing I regretted was pro wrestling. I didn't see any pro wrestling when I was there, and obviously, Japan known for its pro wrestling. I would encourage you to look into that.
Yeah.
My issue, the reason I didn't see any is I didn't start looking until I was nearing the end of my trip, and I can't remember what day it was, but there just wasn't any for a couple of days. I think every day, there's a weekly schedule or whatever. So you may want to look into that if you're interested in wrestling. Look into that early on and see what the schedule's like and what options are there.
Here's a couple things I'm on the hunt for. Otomo started doing a new manga, serialized. I'm going to try to find some of those issues.
That'd be cool.
All of them, if possible. I know that he did storyboards for Steam Boy in the same way as he did the Akira storyboard. So I'm looking for those books. If I stumble upon the Akira books, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I looked for, that was the one thing I did not find.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like I found mine in Korea, of all places. I am soliciting the Kayfabers for any and all intel, for any suggestions, and all of that, man. Once again, trying to hit that ground running. I'm going to be staying in Shibuya for both, they're picking up 2 weeks at a hotel, and then I'm going to move, still within Shibuya, to a different hotel for another 2 weeks, and it's going to be it's going to be connected to the Shibuya train station. So I'll be able to, that's like a main artery. I'll be able to go downstairs and get to Nakano Broadway Mall. I'm going to be able to go to Akihabara, or however you say that place, and go freaking sign up and do some Mario Kart racing.
That's where I stayed, and man, is that a great place.
Yeah, you just see the giant anime faces on facades of complete skyscrapers and junk.
That was manga shop, 8-story manga shop. 8-story manga shop. I would go in one, go to the top, come down. Go to the next building, go to the top, come down.
Yeah. So here's one of the things that I set up so far. When I go to Narita Airport and I land, it'll be 2 p.m. their time on a Tuesday, and I have to first go to the post office there. And what's going to be waiting for me is a little pocket Wi-Fi that emits internet, so that it's private. It's always connected. Comparing the speeds that they promise with that thing compared to my home speeds, it's triple. And the hope is that I can accumulate footage, weave together some episodes, and continue to upload content over the next month, highlighting interesting things that I come across along the way. This ain't no travel vlog channel. This ain't vlog Kayfabe. This is fucking Cartoonist Kayfabe, man. So it's gonna be pretty comic centric still, though I might show you some weird stuff. I just don't know what I'm getting myself into. In a perfect world, one of the first things that I need to figure out, the first major order of business, is, can I upload video? And if I can, I will be sure to, I imagine you're going to keep the Kayfabe weeklies going?
Yes.
So in a perfect world, I will be accumulating footage, and I will still contribute half of a Kayfabe weekly. I'll be the correspondent.
Yes.
Little picture-in-picture.
Yeah. Like I will be the foreign correspondent, giving you the scoop on the Japanese scene. Maybe a little interview with, I'm connecting with people out there, man. I know a couple of mangaka. I know a translator out there who's connected with a lot of mangaka. Cross your fingers on some stuff that I won't say publicly, because if it happens, it's going to elevate our shit to the next. But there's also a major potential that they just won't want to be on camera.
Sure.
Very private. So that's the hope, man. I'm going to probably upload in an unlisted capacity, just some nonsense, just to see if it's fucking possible. If it was flipped around and somebody from Japan came here and was staying at a hotel, they wouldn't be able to. You know what I mean? They would have to pay for that $70 a day fucking internet from a hotel and still maybe not be able to upload stuff.
Yeah.
So my hope is that this little pocket Wi-Fi is going to make it possible for me to keep busy with the channel. One of my real reasons for going out there it's going to be kind of like a writer's retreat for me. I cannot wait to get jacked out and be unavailable to people here. You know, I like a big chunk of my day, and when we do these Kayfabe live streams, they go pretty late, almost for the express reason of knowing that nobody's going to be calling me and emails aren't coming in and all of that. So I'm going away as like partly writer's retreat, but also with my little Osmo mobile gimbal, I'm going to come back with some good footage. You know what I mean? At the very, very, very least, there will be some finished, complete episodes by the time I get back that I'll be able to dole out, you know, in November and stuff. But I'm coming back like November 4th. You know, I'm going to be gone for damn near a month, dude.
Yeah. That you're going to be coming back to a different world, Ed.
Yeah.
Street Angel, Deadliest Live will be out.
Fantastic Four #1
will be out.
That's going to be the shit.
You're not going to recognize the comic shop.
That's going to be the shit.
We're going to be transformed. You're going to be transformed. The world's going to be transformed.
So Jim, when I'm gone, man, like you're holding the reins to the Kayfabe channel for the next month. Do you have any plans for how that will go? Is this a conversation we'll have later? Like what? Obviously, we have a backlog of like Wizard episodes.
Yes. I have some stuff set aside. You know, I continue to accumulate and back issue dive and all of that. So content-wise, I think we're going to see a lot of similar content to what has been on the channel. I'm also thinking, we've been talking about doing some lettering stuff for a while. So that's one of the things that's on my list, is like, this may be a good time to do it. I am upgrading equipment. I'm getting a new camera. Some new microphones, so some of that will be, you know, like excuses to test some of this stuff.
Right.
Will be in you know, maybe some drawing videos and things of that sort. So it will be business as normal for the most part.
Yeah.
As you say, we do have videos that we've worked on together too that'll continue to, you know, I'll continue to make live. So from a viewer standpoint, it shouldn't be too different.
You know, one thing we should do, man, because we recently just got the Kayfabe Origins panel from Heroes Con. Let's make that the Kayfabe Weekly next week.
Sounds good.
So that we can it's like the methadone stage to wean them off of Eddie P on the Kayfabe Weeklies for a little bit, and then we could do new Kayfabe Weeklies.
Yeah, at that point we should know what we have, whether you can upload videos or not.
Exactly. Yeah, because we'll put that out probably on a Thursday. And that would mean I was there for 2 days. The way once you cross that international date line, when you're going to a different time zone period, they say it takes 1 day for every hour difference. Many hours difference between us and Japan. And in fact, when I come home, I think I land like 2 hours before I left.
Whenever I came back, it was like coming home is when I had horrible jet lag for like a week. It was real bad. So I think direction makes a difference too.
Yeah, for me, west to east is fine, no problem. But I mean, east to west is no problem. But yeah, coming back like west to east is a killer. That's, you know.
Yeah, Europe's that like.
Yeah, like going to Europe is awful. Coming back from Europe's fine. So going there should be fine, and coming back should be awful, which is fine because you'll be in your own bed.
The thing
we may be
though,
shooting at weird hours.
I think it's going to be a no-win for me, both ways, because I'll be landing at 2 p.m., which means I have a whole day that I have to live before, you know, typical bedtime. Now, I went to Korea once, and when I landed, it was like 10 or 11 p.m. It was like 11 p.m. when I went to the hotel. All I had to do was fucking lay my head down on a pillow, crash, die, wake up bright and early 9 a.m. and I was like on a schedule. It was much easier doing that than any of the Danish, any of the European stuff we've done. But once again, it was like when coming back, it's like, okay, it is. That time it was only a half hour before I left that I came back. So weird. Humans ain't really meant for that shit, man. The Kayfabers out there know that we're highlighting comic shops on our Kayfabe Weeklies, man. Am I speaking for all three of us when I say that we're all fans of comic shops and we want them to keep rocking and we want them to stay healthy, and we want to do whatever we can to highlight and promote comic shops across the world? One of the ways we figured out how to do that was that because there is that Eisner award that goes for the Spirit of Retail Award every year, they require the participants to make like a 5-minute video highlighting their store. Why let those videos languish after the awards process, because every store that had the option to do that are noteworthy shops. My thing is, like, let's show off some of these videos, man. So what's the shop that we have to highlight this week, Jim?
This week we have Legends from Victoria, British Columbia. They opened in 1992, I think the same week that Superman died. It's in the video, but it's kind of funny to think of it at that timing. So they've been in business for over 25 years. Seems like a great shop. Cool video too. At one point he talks about, one of the co-owners talks about the pricing collections that they get in, and they had just gotten in like a full Spider-Man collection. So I always like the nuts and bolts of that stuff. And it always makes me think, I've become friends now with several shop owners. So when I'm looking for comics, like I have people that I reach out to.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me the way these collections kind of like get traded around, and people are aware of different collections that are floating around out there. And it's kind of a part of the lifeblood of comic shops, is acquiring these new collections and being able to put out new comics, even though they're not always new. It's just new acquisitions. So anyway, this seems like a great store. They're not just focused on old collections, but that was something that caught my eye in this video.
Let's watch it.
She's got a coat that's snowy white. It's like she's made of soft moonlight. Turks give her a great delight. She thinks your mom's a bit uptight.
Hi there, welcome to Legends Comics and Books. My name is Gareth Godin, I'm the co-owner. We've been here since, November 1992. I think we opened the week that Superman died, and that was kind of the moment when comics sold the most. We've been here for 24 years, love it, all in one location with my partner Lloyd Chesley all these years later.
This is the cash desk at Legends. It's the command center, and it's the first and hopefully the last thing you see when you visit the store. You can tell right off the front what kind of a store this is. We try to get you a little vision of everything. Here you see above me, hanging like streamers, are all these beautiful back issues which fill the store from end to end, because we think back issues are an important part of comic collecting still in 2016. And also you can see some of the fine art books, and this over in the corner is the beginning of our alphabetical library of titles. So that's how we arrange things across and around the room.
When we enter the store, we see our giant Legends sign by Geneviève Castret, one of Canada's finest comic creators. Her latest graphic novel, Drawn and Quarterly, is a big hit in our store. We've got a whole section of famous authors with their faces out. We've got the Garth Ennis and Grant Morrison section right off the bat.
So when people come in, the first thing we want them to see is this, our grand wall, which is all about comics, all it's been and what it can be. On this rack, we have more independent works and everybody's favorite, Star Wars.
We've got all our Darwin Cook Parkers up here, our Grendels and Crazy Cats, Turtles, oversized books, all the Magnolas, which really couldn't fit anywhere else in the store. Diary of a Teenage Girl has been selling like crazy, so we keep it up front with Lumberjanes.
Of course, this is one of the most important sections of any comic book store. It's where the new issues go up every week. We use the top shelf just for the newest comics of the week and the newest graphic novels. And then we use the other shelves for the recent books so that people can keep current and catch up on those issues they might have missed.
Every day, you never know what's going to come in the door. Vintage collections come through. You get 2 or 3 a week. This week, a complete set of Amazing Spider-Man came through, so I spend my time talking to customers and bagging, boarding, pricing, grading them all from here. We've got a big back issue area. We have a basement that's floor to ceiling with vintage comics, and we have an off-site about 100 feet away with 800,000 old comics in it. We go in there to pull out new things to put on eBay each week. I've been on eBay since 1999. Tens of thousands of transactions. The whole world is our customers there.
We have made a traditional bookstore bookshelf, listing the books not by character but by author.
When we first opened in 1992, there was not a lot of kids reading comics at that time. Video games had taken hold, so the comic industry seemed to have moved on without them. But along comes Bone, sparking a revolution of youth back into comics, which is great. So much coming in nowadays. We keep all the libraries in Victoria well stocked so the kids can get free comics. Free Comic Book Day has been great for getting kids back into comics. I myself draw comics, so I've got a big table of all ages books here.
You might have noticed that Gareth and I come from different generations. I like to say I'm Silver Age and he's Bronze Age. And I think that comic collectors somehow harken back to the generation just before. So on this wall you can see that we have the great classics of comics from the past, which in all these wonderful reprints that they're doing these days, and we like to make sure that everybody can find them and find them by the names they know. Just to have more geography to lay it all out, we have these shelves with the newspaper classics. Up here again, some of our prejudices. We have our DC Archives, our Marvel Masterworks, and the other hardcovers that a lot of the companies are printing.
Welcome to our multi-purpose comic book room. We have art shows monthly with different cartoonists and artists all over Victoria and Vancouver. We do 3 cartooning classes a week on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays.
So I hope that gives you an idea of what Legends Comics and Books is about, how we like to show things off. And if we can show everybody everything we like about comics, I guess we can be here for another 20 years.
She's my pierogi cat.
Rolling and action.
Jim, don't you want to see what 800,000 comics looks like?
Very much.
Yeah. Invite us up there and show us that freaking vault.
Yes.
I think the most I've ever seen was only 250,000.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Jim,
we'll get there eventually, Ed.
I have a question for Tom. When you finished Fantastic Four Grand Design, all that hard work, page a day, toward the end, all that, how'd you treat yourself, man, whenever you finished?
Yeah, because it is important to like kind of reward yourself at the end of it. So I finished like early in the morning. I just had a couple bit of business that I didn't finish the night before. Finished it early in the morning, and so then that day I let myself play some video games.
What'd you choose?
I played. I have the SNES Classic, so I hooked that up and I played like some Super Terracon. I played some Super Mario World, a little bit of Mario Kart, and then I had like an Odyssey 2 from like 1980, and I played Pickaxe Pete on there, and Casey Munchkin and Casey's Crazy Chase, and then I had this ColecoVision, played a little bit of that, and then I also like to treat myself. I ordered. There's like a season of Super Sentai that like the library didn't have, so I ordered. It was
That's the Japanese version of Power
Rangers,
the
yeah,
original.
And this was I think it's called Super Sentai Die Ranger. It was the season after the season that like the first season of Power Rangers is based on, so it's pretty cool. It's got this like robot dragon, and the guy stands on top of it and kind of like surfs this giant robot dragon, and the dragon turns into a robot and gets into some cool fights. So it was money well spent. And then the day after that, back to work.
Yeah. So you went to work on
on the other project, yeah, because I had some deadlines that were like right around the same time.
That's a real cartoonist, man. We're not fucking around here. Before we get out of here, one thing I am curious about, we haven't talked about this in a little while, man. Have you read, watched, or absorbed anything outside of just making your comics or whatever in the past couple weeks or whatever? I saw the WuTang documentary that was on Showtime, and of course I chose the documentary rather than the Hulu show to watch because I really didn't watch it. I just listened to it while working, and first off, super inspiring. What RZA did to kind of like make that whole thing work. Revolutionary and just business. Right. And it gets into all of that. In fact, it gets into that weird album that they made almost as like an art piece that sold to that like pharmaceutical douchebag for $2 million or whatever. It gets into that. But one amazing piece of kayfabe getting broken in that documentary is that it shows these moments where RZA is writing the lyrics for ODB. So, like, RZA is, the mathematics of the universe is this and that and blah, 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 and, like, the holy gods and the suns and the earth and the poor righteous teachers were going on the mothership and, like, all that, like, spiritual shit. And ODB is, like, got barred once, but it was only gonorrhea and, like, shit like that. So they're sitting there writing the lyrics and RZA, like, let them all out of their contracts, like, with the Wu umbrella corporation or whatever, and ODB was the last to be let go, but RZA still did the music and still like wrote, and so it's RZA and ODB sitting there, and RZA's writing him lyrics and showing him how to like talk, like how to speak it in syncopation and keep rhythm and stuff. And it's talking about the layers of a pussy like a cake, and like ODB's like, I don't get it. And like RZA, you know, mathematics of the universe, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, you know how like a pussy has layers? Like it's just like it's like so silly, man, because it's like such gross like ODB shit. But it's RZA,
the cosmic.
But it's RZA the Abbott, who's the guy like with the pen like talking about that shit and like coming up with those ideas. And like ODB doesn't even know what he's supposed to like. He'll say it, but he's like, I don't know what that means. And then he's like soliciting the other people around, like, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? The layers. It's pretty funny. So what do you got?
I watched an Evel Knievel documentary.
I watched it too. Born Evil?
Yeah, no, Being Evil.
Being Evil, that's it. Yeah, Being Evil. I saw that too because of Rob Zombie.
Yes, and it was good. I knew, you know, like Evel Knievel's story is not a secret. So like I knew a lot of that stuff, but man, the footage of him crashing, getting hurt bad, and then like doing more jumps. That is a lifestyle that is hard to relate to.
That one crash too, man. That was like the Nicolas Cage crash in the first Ghost Rider movie,
right.
When his head gets all mangled and stuff. Like that was the one that was on Wide World of Sports. How cool did he look, man, when he would show up on Johnny Carson with a mink coat?
He was there was a whole cult of personality there. Like it's amazing that part, like what he built out of kind of nothing. He certainly didn't have that figured out to begin with. That whole stuntman thing, it's really great. It's a character and an industry that he builds from nothing. At least according to that documentary.
And it's those
very
toys.
Entertaining.
It's those toys.
Yes.
It's just like, you know, George Foreman grills or something. Like you could have like a personal accomplishment. You could be the best there is at like what you do. You could be Michael Jordan. But it's this like other thing that you weren't expecting that makes you your real money.
Right.
You know, it's the grills, it's the Air Jordan, it's all that. And that came up in a conversation on Joe Rogan with Rob Zombie was there. And another thing, like Rogan asked Zombie, what are some movies that you had in the works that didn't get to see the light of day? And I'm looking at you just because this is Philly-centric. Because Rob Zombie was like, I always wanted to make a movie about the Broad Street Bullies, the Phillies. The Flyers hockey team when they were an expansion team when they won the Stanley Cup and all of that. And I watched that documentary.
I watched that one too.
Oh, how cool, man!
That out.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was an HBO documentary. It's all on YouTube, unless it's not like you know.
That's where I watched.
Was it one of the 20 for 20 or?
No. It was a HBO
30 for 30, whatever.
Yeah, 30 for 30 is ESPN. But this was a really well produced HBO documentary. And so, like, when the Flyers are an expansion team, they decided, like, a good piece of promo would be, let's have a parade, man. And they sit these guys in their convertibles and take them down Broad Street, presumably. Nobody shows up. And not only that, but the few people who are on the street who are, like, looking at the ruckus are just like, fuck you guys.
That's like the default Philly reaction.
So they get their first season or whatever in the NHL. They get rocked on. They get disrespected. They're getting their asses beat. Very aggressive hockey, and they're a team. They have no congruency. Like a lot of these people haven't played together or anything like that. So they're just getting mopped up. And like when they go off for the summer or however that works, man, they're just like, we're never doing that again. We're never going to be anybody's bitches ever again. They pulled in a couple of goons, and that was it, man.
Yeah, it's a good documentary. For those sports documentaries, it is in line with those 30 for 30s or something that you think of as like good storytelling. Yeah. That's a fun one. The other thing I'd mention that I listened to this week was rewatchables about Reservoir Dogs. So, you know, if you're a Tarantino fan or interested in his history, it was a really good episode, surprisingly entertaining, and that was like my first Tarantino movie was Reservoir Dogs, not in a theater, but in that era. I saw it before I saw Pulp Fiction, and it was kind of cool to go back through because it's such a almost guerrilla film. You know, it's very low budget, and so like a lot of the stuff you see on the screen is kind of a result of that limited budget, and it's just interesting to hear some of the backstory behind that and to kind of think about like, you know, as a beginning, as a launching point for what Quentin Tarantino goes on to become. You just never know it with artists' first early works. You know, they may be filled with potential, good and bad. And it's kind of neat to see where he came from. And then, you look back at that first one and you start to see like, oh yeah, you could, in hindsight, it's very clear some of these things.
Yeah. Like I'm not disparaging the guy, but Tarantino and Kevin Smith were brought up in the same conversation a lot early on.
Yeah, yeah. I always think of those two for that exact reason. Like it seems like at that starting point they had a similar story, and then where they go and maybe as you learn more about them, you see them diverge.
Yes.
Yeah, they still kind of do like parabolic. Sometimes they almost cross back again with it.
Let me ask you this, because you hipped me to this podcast with the Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid one that had Aaron Sorkin on as a guest. Did these guys have a guest from the Tarantino universe, or was just them talking shop?
It was just them. One of them is like a Hollywood reporter type, though. Mm-hmm. So you get a pretty good perspective from the three people that were on there. They change guests and stuff every episode. I'm not sure if they even have a full-time host. No full-time person on there, as far as I know. But it was good, and I enjoyed it more than the Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid episode, even though there wasn't anybody like Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
It's still like that's one of those movies that I do know fairly well, so It's fun to kind of like get a lot of inside information and different perspectives. And those guys are about my age, so they kind of talk about the impact it had. And they bring up things like video store culture, something that the further removed we get from that, I don't want that to leave my memory,
right.
But it's not as relevant to me as it would have been 10 or 20 years ago.
Sure.
So it's kind of cool to like have that come up and see like how that would have been influencing the work of the time.
I'm kind of stoked to check this out, man. If you guys don't have any other points of business, we could get the hell out of here.
The only thing I'll mention is this is Street Angel Deadliest Girl Alive, does come out this month. You can obviously still order that. We are overprinting. You get your initial orders and then you decide what the print run's going to be. So those will still be available. You could still pre-order them from your comic shop. And I will be doing a release party October 26th. It's a Saturday. It's going to be a big Halloween party at Four Color Fantasies in Winchester, Virginia. So Deadliest Girl Alive, Street Angel from Image Comics.
Tom, hit him with some plugs, man.
Yeah, Fantastic Four Grand Design Issue 1 comes out October 30th, the day before Halloween. So, get that too.
You know what I think would be awesome, man, is like hopefully like the first Kayfabe Weekly, when I get back, we can all get together again perhaps on the weekly and have these finished books to present, to show off on the camera, and to just like hip these motherfuckers, man, and let them know that they got to have their hands on these books. Perhaps even put these bitches under the microscope, man. And let's go through page by page.
Yeah.
I would love to have
I'd
a
be up for
commentary
that.
session with you guys about these.
Sounds great.
I'm not too precious to not let you guys like rip my stuff to shreds if need be,
Let's chop these things up, man. I'm heading to Japan, fellas, man. I gotta go pack. So, Kayfabers, if you haven't done so already, first off, thank you for getting us to 10,000 subscribers. If you've been with the channel, you've been watching the channel, but you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so. Also, hit the bell. It'll let you know when we have new videos available.
You can find Cartoonist Kayfabe merch at our spread shop. There's a link below the video to that, including our new Make More Comics shirt, which has been something of a hit.
Jimmy, I have to go pack, like I said, man. I have to go look at some TripAdvisor stuff and some recommendation sites and read these Kayfabers comments about what I should be doing over there in the land of the rising sun, dude. So go give them their marching orders and we can get the hell out of here.
Read more comics.